Hey guys, so this week you're going to be doing a lot with sequences, and you're also going to be starting to learn how to create formulas, which is something you're going to continue to use in other units, and so I just wanted to go over a couple. Okay, so here on the left side, we have, this is for an arithmetic sequence. So it says write the explicit formula for the sequence 103, 81, 59, 37, and then identify the 21st term for the sequence. Okay, so the formula, which you could just write this down somewhere, for this kind of a, oh, that's an N in case you can't tell, for this kind of a sequence is you're going to have A N equals, and we're going to just put A sub 1, that means the first term, okay, and then plus N minus 1, so N is the number of terms, not equals, just kidding, and then times D, and D is going to be the common difference. Okay, so on an arithmetic sequence, you're going to be basically adding or subtracting some number to every term, and that's what the common difference is, okay? So to create this formula then, we're going to take the first term, okay, so that's 103. So we're going to say that this equals 3, and then plus, and because we're just making a formula, we're going to keep this n the same, n minus 1, and then we have to find the common difference. So that just means you're just going to say, okay, so it's 103. Am I adding or subtracting? Subtracting because it's going smaller. Okay, but to find the difference, I'm always going to subtract. So I'm going to do 103 minus 81, so that equals 22, and I'm going down, so it's going to be negative 22. Okay, if I was going up 22 every time, I just make it a positive 22. Okay, and then we just have to simplify this a little bit. So we have 103 plus, and then we're going to distribute right there. So it's going to be plus a negative 22n plus 22. Then we can only add the 22 over here. So that's going to be 125. And then plus a negative is the same as minus. So I'm just going to say minus 22n. Okay, so that's my formula. So A is a function of n equals 125 minus 22n. So then to identify the 21st term, that 21 is what you're going to substitute in. Okay, so that means you're finding A at 21, and so you'd have 125 minus 22 times 21. Okay, and then you just need to do that on your calculator, which, let me pull my calculator up. So I would say 22 times 21, so that's 462, so 125 minus 462. And then I would do 125 minus 462, and that equals negative 337. So that would be my 21st term. Now, to find the 21st term, you could also just subtract 22 21 times, and you'd get to that same number. But if you can do the formula, that's going to make it a little easier. All right, so that's arithmetic sequences. So now over here on the right side, we have a geometric sequence. So a geometric sequence basically means you're going to multiply or divide something every time. Okay, and so there's a different formula that you use for that. So this one says give the next 3 terms of the sequence and write a formula for the nth term, and then what would you think the 225th term would be? Okay, so if you look at this, you're going from 12 to 6 to 3. Okay, so if you think about it, okay, that means that you're dividing it in half each time. So you're dividing by 2 each time, or multiplying by a half, however you want to think of it. So then we would, if we kept going, we would have 1.5, and then we'd have 0.75, and then we'd have 0.375. Should probably check that. I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay, so that's the next three terms. That's pretty easy to do. You just divide by 2. Okay, use a calculator if you need to. The calculator is your friend. Okay, so then to find the formula, again, you need to use a formula. So this is another one. Just write it down somewhere, have it in on some notes. Okay, so you have your a sub n, which just means your nth term is going to equal, we have a sub 1, so that means your first term, times r, which is your common ratio, so that's whatever you're multiplying or dividing each time. And then it's to the power of n minus 1. Okay, so on here, so to find the formula, your first term, okay, is 12. So you're going to say 12. You can do times either with the dot or with the parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and use the parentheses. So we're multiplying it to our common ratio. Okay, so this is, you're dividing by 2, so you have to think of it as multiplying by what? And so we're dividing by 2, we're multiplying by 1/2. Okay, if we were like doubling it every time, then your number there would be 2, because you'd be multiplying by 2 every time. Okay, and then the n stays for the formula, and you just say n to the n minus 1. Look at that, piece of cake, right? So that's your formula. So then to find the 225th term, again, you could just divide your terms by 2 or times them by 1/2 225 times, and you'd get the answer. That's kind of a lot. And as you see, when I put this into the calculator, it's going to be a very, very long decimal. Okay, and so we're looking for the 225th term. Okay, that's all that number means. Just telling you what term you're looking for. So that's going to be 12 times 1/2, and then we're looking for the 225th. So we do 225, and then you say minus 1. Okay, that's just part of the formula. So to find that, we're going to do 12 times 1/2 to the 224th power. So I'm going to do this on a calculator so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so my calculator, the way I have it set up right now, doesn't do fractions super well, so I'm just going to do it as a decimal. So 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5. Okay, so I'm going to say 0.5. Oh, just kidding, I actually need to change my calculator. So we'll make it a little more complicated of a calculator. Okay, so try to start over. So we're going to do 0.5, and this little button is going to do the power for me. So to the power of 224 equals. Okay, so bam, long decimal. And then I still have to multiply that by 12. So I'm going to say times all that times 12. Still a really long decimal. So this is how you can write this in scientific notation. If you don't know how to do scientific notation, don't stress about it too much. But it's going to be 4.45. Yeah, 4.45, and then you do times 10. And because it's a decimal, I'm going to do a negative, and it's going to tell me right here. So it's this number right here. So that's what your 10 is to the power of, to the negative 67th power. Okay, so that is my 225th term at this sequence. If I continued dividing this by 2 225 times, I would get to this number. Okay, so that is your sequences. That's a big part of this week's assignments. And so if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Otherwise, I'll see you later.